All right. Welcome to the PAX Hospitality Podcast. My name's Tim Varney and I'm with Michael Bascetta. We've got a new little segment that's got no title yet. Michael just said, let's get in a room and start recording. So preparation on this is thin.
Thin on the ground. The purpose of the segment is to let the hair down a bit.
Yep.
Most likely recorded on a Friday for us, so coming to the end of our week.
That's true. It is Friday. What is it? 1:07 p.m.
Get together, shoot the shit a little bit, talk about things in hospo that we love, things that we are seeing, things we don't like so much sometimes, I'm sure will creep in.
Yep.
But overall, a bubble of positivity, hopefully.
A bubble it'll pop.
Until Angry Man Varney creeps in.
Yeah, steps in. Good. All right. What have you got in mind? What's top of
seeing
top of
you're
mind
a washed up coffee man.
Yes.
I thought we'd go to coffee and
great.
the wonderful world it is and the very misunderstood world it is, I think.
Yeah.
And try and pull the curtain back a little bit when it comes to what is happening in the world of coffee automation. And for anyone listening, I've pretty much sprung this on Varney, so it might take a while to get the cogs turning. But for me, what we're seeing, I'm keen from your perspective first before I dive in of what we're seeing in coffee automation in the industry and what it all looks like in cafe land, and how people are setting up a new cafe and what are they looking to do and what are the things they're coming up against, all those things, and then how that flows into automation.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's always been, typically there's always been a bit of pushback on automation within the sort of top tier of coffee.
Why is that?
Well, that being like good cafes who are conscientious about what they're serving coffee-wise.
Yeah.
There's always been this sort of art and science mix in coffee, and the romanticism of it all kind of sometimes can get in the way of progress, I guess you could say, and specifically automation and tech upgrades to how you're actually brewing.
Yeah.
I think that's probably where it sits, and that's been a challenge for a lot of people because they still want to have that kind of romantic, I'm in control, there's touch and feel and sensory stuff that's involved in making coffee, and I'm experienced and it's my craft and all of that sort of stuff. So there's sort of that side of things, and then on the other end you've got places like, I think, 7-Eleven here in Australia that's completely rolled with automation.
Yeah, press a button, get a latte.
Press the button, get a latte, and you know what? Regular Joe Blogs is kind of fine with that. Yeah, I think their idiotic pricing comes into play there as well. Where
is it still $1 or is it $2 now?
I don't even know what it is, but it reminds me of like the milk wars at supermarkets.
Yeah,
it's about getting people in the doors because then they go and get the rest of their stuff. They get their $1 coffee or $2 coffee,
and then buy their one other thing,
buy their one other thing.
It's
which
funny.
is a bottle of water for $7.50.
Well, it's really funny because when we were opening Falco next door to a 7-Eleven, which is now gone, by the way.
Yes,
no
true.
7-Eleven there anymore, which is pretty wild considering it's on Smith Street. But I went in there just to be like, well, I wonder what their prices are like, right? Apart from their very cheap coffee, which was definitely $1 at the time we opened Falco.
Yeah.
And at the time I was doing the pricing for Falco pastries.
Right.
And having the argument that we should charge a little bit more because so much work goes into vinoiserie and pastries in bakeries. And we'd done the normal thing of check out our normal benchmarks like the other great bakeries.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll just check 7-Eleven, see what they're doing. I shit you not, for a croissant at 7-Eleven was like $5.50.
Wow.
And I was just astounded because our price was like $6. And I was like, hang on a minute. This is mass-produced shite.
Yeah.
And they're charging 50 cents less than us.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're saying. They get
Yeah.
people in for the $1, $2 coffee.
Yeah.
And they're walking out still spending $7.50, $8.50,
Right.
depending on what they pick up along the
Right.
way.
Yeah.
And that's where they're making the money.
Yeah.
It's the same as, without digging too deep into it, looking at petrol stations and
Yeah.
the amount that they make from. Because I was always thought, why do there need to be an attendant at a petrol station? In America, heaps of petrol stations don't have an attendant.
Oh, because you
just
pay
auto.
at the
There's
pump.
a few of those popping
Yeah.
up here now.
Yeah.
Right? Not even pay at the pump, just there's no one there. You have to pay at the pump. Like there's
Yeah, no.
there's no
oh,
store. Right? And the reason I have that person is to sell that other shit
Oh, of course.
at a high
yeah.
price. So they're making
Yeah.
absolute bank. But anyway,
Yeah.
let's not talk about petrol stations.
Yeah. Well, they've probably got
I'm-
a lot of the coffee machine set up, the automatic coffee machine.
Of course.
as well.
Well, they
yeah.
do. Yeah. I thought it'd be good to start at the start when it comes to producing a coffee. So not in the middle, right at the start.
Right.
So from the moment someone's dialing in, quote unquote,
Yes.
right through to the customer getting that coffee in their hand.
Yes.
And all the touch points that currently happen in what I would call a normal cafe now,
Right.
which is a stand, like in terms of what would be considered a fairly high standard cafe, I should say,
Yes.
when they set up their coffee system.
Like
So
from day one, you mean?
from day one, I'm setting up a
Yep.
new cafe.
Yep.
I bring on XYZ coffee roaster
Yep.
that I would consider to be in the top 10 of roasters in Melbourne or Australia.
Yep.
That person comes in and says, hey, I'm going to help you design your coffee system, right, for producing coffee. What is that person likely to tell me to set up along the way that's kind of normal now?
I mean, how sophisticated is the setup of this roaster would be the first question. Like, do they have, this is how we like to roll it out with our wholesale customers.
Yeah, kind of the standard
recommendations.
recommendations. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, from an equipment perspective, I guess there's the big ticket items, your espresso machine, your 1 to 3 grinders, and then that's probably the bare minimum. Then there's your little sundries like, tampers and knock boxes and that kind of stuff. So that's the sort of the typical manual-esque version.
Yeah. So
I think.
that version, I could
Yes.
open a cafe tomorrow and start serving coffee.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
The simple version, we'll call
Yep.
it.
Yeah. There's the big ticket spends of grinder and espresso machine.
Yeah.
And then the rest is pretty affordable and easy.
Yeah,
But there's this sort of challenge now of the training element that needs to happen. And yes, we're probably relatively blessed with talented baristas or people of a certain level to be able to step in and, get the recipe and roll with it. But anyone new, there's a pretty steep learning curve to get to a good place.
Yeah. To understand what is going out in the cup is good.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, they're the major considerations, I suppose. And, beyond that, there's all of the more recent automations that have come into play that are sort of slowly creeping in, like, espresso machines can deliver an exact amount of liquid into the cup.
So they have like weighers in there?
Yeah,
Like
scales.
Weighers.
They got weighers in the
They got
drip trays. They can now connect with your grinder, so they sort of talk to each other, and the one or the other adjusts according to it not being in line with where you want it to be. Tamping is now a bit of a thing of the past. So it's interesting to hear that some younger baristas
pipe press.
don't even know what a manual tamper is or have never used one.
Yeah, they see it, they're like, I'm not using that.
No, and fair enough, because it's a bit of a strain on the old body.
Yeah.
So I think that there's moments in time with coffee professionals of where you sort of sit on the fence, whether I'm all for automation.
Yeah.
I can't wait to have a solve for this element of brewing coffee.
Yeah.
And then there's the other people that are like, you're taking away the craft, you're taking away the skill of the barista, and it's becoming more and more like a fully automatic machine.
Yeah. So just on that, like the difference between those two people, and I'll another coffee reference without getting too far into the weeds with it would be roasting,
Yes.
right? And this idea that for a long time there is that idea of craft and this, the feel of the roast and listening for the crack and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Does that still ring true for people, or are we so far gone in roasting now that people are like, I follow the bell curve on a computer?
I think that there's software that sits in the middle that is helping people get better at repeating.
Yeah.
I mean, a roaster is a big spend.
Yeah.
And so there's probably a lot of roasters that have, roasters that are, not at the forefront of technology.
Sure.
So they're sort of forced to sit in a sort of space.
Yeah.
But anybody that's doing large production, automation is their best friend.
Yeah, sure.
There's still, without question, a very, very important skill as a roaster to be able to understand what you're tasting and what decisions you've made in the roasting process to give certain results in the final brewed coffee. So there's a very important skill there. It's basically being able to taste, and then to be able
just
to
QC,
understand.
like
I mean, you'll get to a certain point where you can taste coffee and you can break it down, and then the extension of that with the roasting process is to understand, well, what does this end temperature mean? What does this length of roast mean? What does loads of energy at the start versus loads of energy at the end? All the different ways you can get from A to B. So that's where the skill sort of sits. But roasters now I've recently been helping set up an IMF roaster, and that paired with Cropster, which is a software you use to basically, it just takes all the information from the roaster, plots it out on a graph, but now is able to speak to the roaster and control those inputs, whether it be fan speed, drum speed.
So you can create a profile and repeat it, and
Correct.
you can teach people how to then repeat
Correct.
that profile without you being there.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think in the roasting world, it's an interesting thing because you definitely need that person to be able to obviously select the green coffee, know how to roast it,
Totally.
know how to make those changes, and that's a very particular system and setup for a roaster. Whereas when we're talking about the cafes, that isn't necessarily that as required because there are options and solutions whereby you can relatively safely say, if you put in this amount of coffee into the portafilter at this temperature and you deliver this amount of water, you're going to be pretty close to where you want it to be.
Yeah.
And it's a fickle thing, espresso, and reducing human input is probably the best course of action.
Yeah. And I mean, all the things that you were talking about before around, a puck press, scales, dialing in, all this sort of stuff is to start to remove human touches.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
well, not remove the touch, but make it easier and more repeatable.
Yeah, and allowing them to maybe not be so skilled in tamping.
Yeah.
And be really skilled at tasting. So you shift that knowledge base or that experience somewhere else. I mean, just in my time as working with coffee, there was no such thing as automatic tampers. There were no such thing as grinders that delivered a certain amount of coffee into the portafilter. We weren't measuring what was going into the portafilter.
I was going to say, in what year or like range did you start to see weighing the portafilter and the grounded coffee?
I remember.
Like, when was that?
It must have been 2007, 8, 9, 10.
About that.
I think around about then.
Were you in Melbourne?
I was in Oslo then.
So you're still in Oslo. So
still in Oslo.
Still with Wendelbo.
Yeah.
And touted as the best roaster in the world. And that was the point where you started to see.
Yeah, well,
that was start to happen.
Yeah, I mean, this is the interesting bit. Is I would say that Tim is pretty focused on rolling with technologies that are available in innovation. I think the very nature of my upbringing in coffee meant that I was so much more exposed to the romance and the craft of it all.
Yeah.
That when initially that premise of weighing the coffee that was going into the portafilter, I had a little shudder. There was a little shudder, and I remember having a conversation with James Hoffman.
Yeah.
And I think I must have had some sort of physical reaction to say that he was now weighing everything.
Yeah.
And he said to me, "Oh, you're not one of those, are you?"
Yeah. You're a laggard. You're a laggard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I mean, James Hoffman, he's going to be at the forefront, right?
He certainly was. And so I think there is. I mean, there's the very inherent nature of your skill sets and experience will guide you down a certain mindset of how you want to approach things, and there are definitely moments along your journey that you go, I can't believe I thought like that, or that's the way I approach things.
Yeah.
So
well,
I think
it's how we grow and develop, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So after that happened,
yes.
Was coffee just shit before that? And suddenly that started happening. Everyone's like, whoa, coffee's great now.
That's
like it was at a point in time you're like, now coffee's good.
Yeah, well, that's sort of the sidecar to that idea is that, a lot of people complain that coffee isn't as good anymore as it used to be.
But I mean, everyone says that about everything, right?
Yeah, but I think that there's a very particular reason. I think that coffee is getting better than ever, for sure, without question.
When you say, sorry, to take that notion, coffee's getting is better than ever, whatever you just said, would you say your strike rate of being able to get a good coffee is higher now in terms of in more places, or are the ones doing it the best doing it better?
Well, definitely that.
Both?
And then it's floating what is it? You're floating the boat, what's the...
A rising tide lifts all boats, so we're trying to get
to...
floating my boat, floats, boats.
And I think the point I was going to make, though, was that it's not that the perception that coffee is getting worse is untrue, because I think it's just that there are a whole lot more roasters, there's a whole lot more cafes, there's a whole lot more demand for that higher level stuff.
Yeah.
That there was a point at which it was probably a little easier to come by really good coffee, and the competition to get it wasn't quite as hectic as it is maybe now. So that just rolls into the importance of relationship coffee.
Yeah.
And building connections with producers and importer exporters and cooperatives, and ensuring that you're front of queue because you've created a relationship. So that's going a little off track, but definitely the case is that coffee
quality is better.
Is getting better.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would you also say that you kind of touching on it before in terms of, market expectation of quality coffee now as well?
Yeah.
This
is a whole nother
topic, probably
4-hour conversation that is the sort of the bee in every coffee professional's bonnet is that struggle, that kind of headbutting of what the market wants, thinks, believes, knows, has been told versus what the people providing the coffee.
Yeah, and I think maybe one more thing on that before we go back to the nitty-gritty of automation is I feel like the coffee industry or cafes in general have had to bear the brunt of more trends than any other segment of the hospitality market.
Yeah, but...
Like the expectation now, like if you don't have, I don't know, matcha.
Yeah.
Like everyone, like you will lose a segment.
Yeah.
Right? Or if you don't have a really good iced coffee program, or if you don't XYZ, suddenly you've got people like, oh, well, I'm on that trend right now.
You feel exposed.
I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I just feel like we've seen that every few years. There's another thing in coffee land. Then it was like, what's your filter program? How many different filters do you have?
Yeah.
Is it batch brew? Do you have batch brew?
Yeah.
Like it's a pretty crazy.
I think that's it is. It's really true, and that it kind of goes back to your identity as a business, as an operator. There seems to be a higher pressure because of competition to be everything to everyone, and that's where you probably fall into the pile of thinking you need to have a matcha
Every
drink,
single thing,
and cold brew seems to be. But this is sort of our own making in the industry as well. Like
totally,
we're the ones that have often, we've shot ourselves in the foot in terms of freshness of coffee. It has to be unbelievably fresh, and 4.3 days after roast, and then if it's any more than 9.5 days, it's completely dead. Throw it out. We're done. I drink all sorts of shit at home, but it still tastes pretty good to me.
I reckon I've messaged you multiple times having a coffee that you've roasted that is 25 days old, and I've had at least one a week since I got it. And at that 25-day mark, it's been perfect. I'm like, oh my God, it's totally evolved.
Totally.
And it's delicious. Not that it was bad before, but just changed, right? And I just, it's a wild idea of being like, well, at day 9 we're gonna dump it. And now we're looking at a world where people are freezing coffee. Yeah,
it's that whole thing around education, and we need to educate the customer. Like it's on our shoulders to make sure that, but
without being. But at the same time, forgetting that 95% of people want to come in and have their large latte with 1 sugar and not care where the coffee comes from. I think we generally, in all parts of the industry, get stuck in this idea that the 5% are the 95%.
Right, yeah, absolutely. You're listening to the wrong person quite often if it's your barista mate that's coming in once every 4 months.
It's a total echo chamber, right? And we see that in wine, we see that in beer, we see that in spirits, cocktails, blah, 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 blah. On that notion then, going back to the customer or the 5% that nerd out and love it versus the 95 that just want their large coffee and caramel syrup. When we're talking about weighing coffee, and this is a test we should do, is how people derive any difference from a perfectly quote-unquote weighed shot versus straight from the grinder into the portafilter. Who cares what the grammage is? Tamp, let's go. Do you think like what the hit rate would be in terms of people being like, oh, that's a better coffee?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if we're talking about the sort of 95% chunk, then almost certainly not. And there'd be a good portion of the 5% who probably wouldn't
be able to tell either.
Wouldn't be able to tell either. So that's not to say that I don't believe in doing everything you can to present the best possible scenario.
And consistent scenario.
And consistently. So, and this is the whole thing is that, there are automations and technologies that will be able to do it for you.
Anyway.
So I think that it's this fight against, is the market ready for this? Can they grapple with the idea of a fully automated machine with a really, really good input product, coffee, to equal a fantastic product. And I think there's the association, obviously, with fully automatics of airport lounges, 7-Elevens, etc., and therefore no would be their answer. But of course, the technology is fast creeping up. That means that it is the case.
Because for me at the moment, and this is from someone that's not a coffee person, really. Yes, I've been in that world for a bit with cafes and that sort of stuff, but not coming from that background. What I see it from the outside looking in, what I see is this: we've got fully automated already. Then we've got this weird thing happening in the middle where it's different steps are automated, but they're not shaking hands along the way.
The ultimate,
do you know what I mean? Like, there's a few bolt-ons. Like, there's the puck press. There's jugglers, which I haven't spoken about yet. In terms of, is it called a juggler? Is that what's called?
Juggler,
the milk
delivery
frother
thing.
Yeah.
Oh well, they
no, that's a sorry, I got it wrong.
Delivers the milk.
What's the frother called?
Oh, there's lots of versions.
different brands now.
Yeah,
anyway, the auto-frother.
Yep.
There's the auto-frother. There's
Yep.
the machines that talk to the grinders talk to the machines, does the weight.
The funny little hybrid in between version.
Yeah, so it's
the
all
ultimate,
the bits.
Yeah, the ultimate version of that, and this is by people who are infinitely more intelligent than I am, who've created robot arms.
We've seen this
that
happen.
are using manual machines.
Yeah.
Which seems like this.
Which is another half step,
silly
isn't it?
half step.
Yeah. No human, however,
Yeah.
still the dinky
Using
things.
a stupid human
Yeah.
setup. So.
And do you think that's more because people have got their head in that space that are doing that type of system because they're trying to create some sort of, for lack of a better word, theatre or movement, something to look at when it's being made versus the classic 7-Eleven style machine, you're pressing a button, feels very...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably that these people are more into robotics than
coffee.
But it's a great thing.
And it's not that fast.
Can we?
No.
It's can we get a robot arm to do this as well as a human? And the answer seems to be pretty
Pretty
close.
much. Yeah.
It's not something you would roll out.
But it's cost prohibitive, definitely.
Yeah, I don't.
One of those systems would cost $100,000.
Yeah, I don't think they're putting this forward as a solution. It's more of a gimmicky thing, and like how can we improve the technology of robot arms, which are doing making cars and the rest.
Yeah,
of
they're doing everything else.
But yeah, it's a funny like in between bit. But yeah, we are firmly in the weird hybrid
era,
of slowly introducing automation. But that concept of seeing a human behind an espresso machine equaling quality, or as an indicator that these people are serious about coffee, is where we're sort of sitting.
Yeah,
and until the market is 100% okay to see their coffee come from a traditional kitchen pass where there's a bunch of fully automatics in the back, we're struggle to get it across.
The market responds in lots of different ways, or dictates, I should say, not responds, dictates, right? Where this sort of thing goes. And usually that's because of price. Right? So the argument would be from me that as people become more and more price sensitive, and as green coffee continues to rise, as labour continues to rise, as rent continues to rise, you know where I'm going with this, all things rise, people become tighter, it will naturally have to go there. Yeah. Where there's this idea of there's less human input, it's quicker, therefore should be cheaper, theoretically, against the competitor, then there already is a segment of the market right now that are buying $2 7-Eleven coffees because it's cheap. And if those people could get a slightly more expensive coffee than that, somewhere in the middle, that has a good product input, but from an auto machine, there would be an argument that, well, there's a big segment of the market right now that would move on that pretty quickly.
Yeah, most likely. I think the longer and maybe even the better that 7-Eleven and others who are in this space do things and improve the actual product that's going in, then who knows?
Where will it go?
Where will it go?
What's your prediction? Give me like because I want to listen back on this in 3 years and be like...
we won't release this. We'll just listen back to it in 5 years. James, I think, not to harp on James bloody Hoffman, but he used to do a...
I've got to send this to James Hoffman.
He might still do it, but he used to do like predictions for 2026 and then would reflect on it at the end of the year to see where he was right and wrong. But I don't know, there's a big portion of like... there's a lot in this question when we're specifically talking about automation and... Specifically when we're talking about, us being, people of hospitality, the human side of things. We'll grapple with it, and there's got to be there'll be someone who does it very creatively, where you're maximising the automation, but you've still got the human element. So hopefully we start to see that that bit.
Yeah.
That bit happen.
Well, and this is a very extreme example, so certainly don't take it for verbatim, but think about how a sommelier works. They don't make the fucking wine during service, right? They talk about it and they deliver it, right? So this idea, like for me, I don't want to lose the barista knowledge because that's part of the experience. However, having 3 baristas on at peak period is very, very expensive if you can find them, because there is still a labour gap, generally, skills gap, all that sort of stuff. So if you can repurpose that person to be as you're just part of the team, and yes, you're still putting coffee up, but hey, you've got way more time to talk, and you're still delivering an experience. It's still a human experience. It's you've just got a robot kind of helping you.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not talking about the coffee, it's being an ace human.
Being a great hospo person.
How's it going, Dave?
Yeah.
Flat white, takeaway? Yeah, great.
I mean, I was at a cafe today. There was 2 people on, and they were unbelievably in the weeds.
Yep.
And watching them work, one was permanently on the machine, one was floating between trying to help steam milk, or pull shots, whichever, whilst serving on the till, whilst trying to clear tables and run food out. And I'm just like, for Christ's sake, we've seen that scenario all the time, right? If that was an automated machine, that person would not need the help, right? More people would be served. I saw a minimum, I was there for an hour because I was there for a meeting, saw a minimum of 6 people walk in and walk out. Yeah. Because I was like, oh, this is a shit show. Yeah. Because they're just in the weeds. So clearly your staff member short, right? So it's just like, there's an argument.
Are you saying you're going to be okay going into Market Lane, the new flagship Market Lane store, and they've got those McDonald's screens where you can...
If Fleur ever listens to this, she'll know this will never happen.
Certainly will not be.
Well, okay, my argument here is I would love to see, I should say, the tippy-toppy of coffee to always be the experience-based cafe, right? So that's the place where instead of having 10 minutes to get a coffee, I've got 15, 20, 30, and I'm happy to be in a space, have a meeting, that sort of thing. I'm going to go to those cafes where they don't do automation. It's still very human-led.
Hang on, no. Why? Why aren't they doing automation?
Because the way I see it, okay, this is not, I'm saying what I want. This is how I think it will probably go, is that you're going to have the top end of town. Because I look at it through the lens of like a restaurant, right? You've got 3-hat restaurants where you get the best possible service ever, and there's lots of human touch points and all sort of thing. But then at the very other end of that scale, you've got McDonald's, right? So in coffee, I actually see the tippy top end of town, the 3-hat version of the cafe being the Market Lanes, the 7 Seeds, et cetera, still continuing to provide the best possible experience outcome and it'll be expensive, right? More expensive than it is now because they have to keep up with all the inflation across everything. Where I see the bottom end of coffee is already automated. The big middle that we've got right now, they're the ones that will then have the automated systems come in where it's a little bit cheaper, it's faster. Yes, there's still humans there, but there's less of them. That's my prediction.
I think the next notch with that is that fully automation will do it better than we can.
Well, I think that is probably nearly the case now. However, as we were saying before, someone's spending, let's say, $10, $12 on like a really beautiful filter coffee from Market Lane, won't accept that to come from an automated coffee machine.
Well, yeah, but I feel like, is it going to be the trickle-down version where someone like Market Lane decides that, in order to deliver the best possible cup of coffee, we're going to use this amazing fully automated machine. But because they do everything else so well, it's sort of it's okay. It's number 15 on the list of why people are coming there.
Yeah.
And they are still able to offer the same kind of experience. Yeah. But there just isn't that big, heavy, clunky machinery that making loads of noise.
Well, I mean, what will probably happen, that the Market Lanes and the top end of town, they'll have the Ferraris of automated coffee machines, and everyone else will just have the
Datsun 280Bs.
Yeah. I was going to say like Subaru Outbacks, but because they're sturdy and they're safe. But do you know what I mean? Like they'll just have the best tech.
Yeah.
And it won't be a big, ugly, clunky machine. And it'll fit in their beautiful design stores.
Yeah, I think that there's probably examples like where I'm just conscious of we don't want to blabber on for too long, but I think that there's if you look at somewhere like Birdie, you walk in there, and you go, this doesn't look like a bar to me at all.
It's the anti-bar. Yeah,
it's the anti-bar.
Yeah,
there aren't many of those in coffee.
No,
there's a very, very few where it's where it's a similar environment. Like there's no bottles on the walls. You can't even see any beverages at all unless they're finished drinks or they're pouring. I think that we need to see something like that happen in coffee to do the trickle down and make people feel, if Birdie the coffee shop is doing it, then
basically there's no dispense bar in the sense of a normal dispense bar. So in the coffee sense, you're saying coffee would come from behind like a kitchen.
Because they're all fucking ugly. Like a manual espresso machine is
very ugly.
It's far better looking than a fully automatic.
Oh yes.
So you don't want to have these sort of
clunky. It'll just come down to design though of the space as well, because you could have they're just metal boxes.
No thanks. I don't want to see any of that. Put it back a house.
Yeah. Fuck it off.
Yeah, have a little pass. Thanks for coming. That'll be $23.
All right. Well, maybe we should wrap there.
Final note, like little add-on bit. This is classic sort of 6:30 reading the news in the morning. Did I see that the Michelin guide
got rejected? Yeah, there's something about
from Australia.
It needed to have what I read was a few million invested in by the government or Tourism Australia or someone like that.
We don't need that,
and we said no. Do we need it? Great for internationals coming to Australia, because they will just, if there's a guide, they'll use it. The argument would be, well, we already have a hat system that is built for Australia that is very different to Michelin in terms of its standards. I shouldn't say very different enough. And it's been around for a long time. So why?
Which is
like the good food
the
hat.
age,
The aged hats, like 3 hats, 2 hats, 1 hat.
Sydney Morning Herald as well.
Do we need something that is on top of that? Because then does that get confusing?
Does that extend out? Who does that? Is there systems in place for, WA and...
Yeah, so it's fluctuated a lot depending on resources of good food. WA, yes. Adelaide, maybe. I would assume so. Definitely up and down the East Coast. So I don't know. Do we need imagine? Okay, Vue de Monde is a 2 Michelin starred restaurant, but a 3 hat restaurant. But whatever the next award is, do we need layers of it? Other countries have it. Like America has multiple award systems like Michelin, and then other awards as well, or ratings like New York Times, that sort of thing.
There's nothing better though than knowing where you stand internationally, and I guess if you're bundled up with the best of Spain and France and beyond, we'll probably never see a 3 Michelin star in Australia anyway.
Yeah, I reckon?
Oh, surely.
I reckon we've got a couple.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right. Tune in next week to find out which 2
2 restaurants we believe to be.
Tune in next week. Hopefully there is a next week. Thanks for listening. There'll be a normal episode coming out every Tuesday. I don't know when we're going to release this.
We'll release this hopefully.
And if anyone's even listening this far into it. But see you soon.
Cheers.
Thanks, MB.